Hello and welcome to another episode of Power On Podcast Portable. Hello everyone. We hope you're doing very, very well on this day. And I am Sushi B. And of course, with me is my wonderful co-host who would be Murugaru553, also known as Taylor.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
Um, it's going, getting
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's
I was
good. Yeah.
on my deathbed for a little while, but
Yeah,
uh,
it's not good.
now I'm back. How about yourself?
Busy with a lot of work things and other projects and such. So, nice to find some time to squeeze in another episode here.
Yeah, this is kind of an out of the blue episode.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, this episode today, I'm just going to flat out say what we're doing. We are going to be looking at Heavy Rain for the PlayStation 3, and it is very out of the blue, actually. I had no idea that you were even playing this game, and just off the cuff, you sort of were just like, "Oh, I finished Heavy Rain the other day," and I was like, "What?" Really surprised. I had no idea that you had been playing it.
Yeah, no, I have to chalk that up to my coworker and friend. He's recommended it to me as well as another game, and I thoroughly enjoyed both of them. So
Nice to hear.
yeah.
Oddly enough, if you recall, I actually used this game in a recommendation episode, which has been posted some time ago now.
Hmm.
But it was for our other co-host who's on the regular episodes, Greg. I actually told him that I thought he should play this game.
Yeah, I don't know how Greg would take to it.
It's hard to say. He's quite into film, so
Mm,
I thought this might fit sort of that vibe for him.
mm.
But and he likes narrative because he's a big RPG guy. So I thought this could work out really well for him. But he, on the other hand, I know he doesn't really like rhythm type games and stuff, and so he might shy away a bit from this because there are some what's the word I'm looking for? Uh,
The button pressing doodaddy
the,
thing.
the,
The quick
damn you,
time events.
Shenmue, quick time events. Thank you. Shenmue sort of rebrought those back in, and Heavy Rain sort of expands on that. But let's get into that sort of stuff.
Mm.
All right, so why don't we start? This is a PlayStation 3 exclusive. There has been no word of it ever coming to the PS4 or likewise. I presume there is a decent chance that it could in the future, but it is now only available on the PS3. I know that after it had come out, they added a Move edition to it. I believe you can buy a physical copy of a Move edition, or you can just download a patch, which I did for the game. I think you have to actually to play the game. I don't think it'll play without it, which is kind of weird, but I don't have the Move and I didn't use the Move to play the game, but for some reason I think you have to download it.
Yeah, I think you were right about that. I remember there being a download for it that I had to go through.
Mm.
But I'm not going to use the move. No, I'm not going to use the giant purple dildo looking thing. Just
This game probably would be okay with it, though. There was probably parts of the game that would be kind of fun with it, but yeah, I just I don't personally own the Move. It's not a piece of equipment that I really need. There's just not really many games that seem to use it. So, but anyways, that's sort of off the side. But yeah, Heavy Rain. Why don't we sort of start with the concept of the story and stuff here? And anyone who's listening, this is a bit of an older game. It did come out in 2010, so I think it's somewhat safe for us to just kind of not tippy-toe around anything and hit spoilers and stuff here. I think it's pretty fair. Would you say so?
I would say that it kind of needed to be done because it'd be a little hard
Mm.
to explain this game if we just try to keep things too vague, I guess.
Right, and maybe if we were playing this game just shortly after it came out or something, I might feel a little more reluctant to say some things about it.
Mm,
But it's been almost 4 years or so, or whatever it is now. So I think it's should be fine.
mm. Yeah.
All right. Would you like to lead us in?
Well, let's start with just the fact that you go through four different kind of main characters,
Sure.
different perspectives, and as you're going through the game, it has these very good loading screens where it has these
Mm.
like kind of up close up close to the faces of the main characters and stuff.
Almost like moving portraits, sort of.
Yeah, yeah, it's really, really, really just crazy how good that looks.
Right, right, right.
Um, and then it'll go into what the hell they're doing at that point in time,
Mm,
and but some it is kind of like there's quick time events, but it's not just quick time events how you play it. For example, right off at the beginning of the game, you start off as Ethan Mars, and you are doing the most mundane shit right at
right.
the beginning, and it's very interesting how they teach you how to play the game by
Mm,
doing these mundane actions. It helps once you actually have some points where it's like, hey asshole, you could die here, and that's the thing in
right,
the game. Characters could die if you botch things up, which
right.
is kind of tense.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is for sure. You get a little bit of man ass at the beginning too, so
So yeah, yeah.
a
I get all
little bit of shower.
like,
A couple of times this game has what, two or three shower scenes,
yeah. Well, people
something
gotta
like
people
that.
gotta
Yeah.
bathe. Thank God.
Yeah, they don't do a good job of it though. Hey, they just kind of stand in the shower, don't really use any soap or anything. They
Sure,
just kind of stand there,
sure.
probably just as dirty as when they but still, anyways, there are some shower scenes. So there's a little bit of nudity in the game, which right off the bat also gives you a more adult vibe right from the start.
Right. Basically this game is just like a um what would you call it, like a psycho thriller movie?
Yeah, sort of detective, I guess detective thriller,
Mm.
I guess.
Detective thriller. Yeah. So like I was saying, there's
Mystery,
yeah, yeah.
I'd be more appropriate episode.
There's four characters. One's Ethan Mars, and
Yep.
he's a bit crazy.
Well, he not so much at the start, but something happens to him that sort of makes him crazy.
Right, and yeah, his I mean, just something traumatic happens really like fairly early on that kind of just leaves him broken,
Yeah,
and
he's well,
and he's what is it? He suffers from what is it? Agoraphobia or something? Is that
agoraphobic. Yeah.
agoraphobia? Where afraid of being out in public or being
Right.
with like too many people.
Right.
Um, and he's having issues. He's kind of slipping out of consciousness at in the game early
Mhm.
on. Another character that you have is Scott Shelby.
Yep.
He's a detective,
Private Eye.
a PI
Yeah.
who busts some skulls.
He does bust some skulls in this game.
So he's a pretty awesome character.
He's pretty tough for a bigger dude. Hey, like he moves pretty well.
Yeah, he moves fairly well. I mean, unless you don't control him well enough,
Well,
certain
yeah.
certain things. But
Right.
but he's going around trying because the the game is
It's almost like a movie.
it's pretty much like a movie, but the game is basically about a serial killer, the origami killer, or the, as some characters say, the origami killer, and that hurt. But so this PI Scott Shelby is trying to figure out this asshole.
Right. He's connecting a bunch of deaths from previous children who have died within, what is it, about a 2-year span or so?
Yeah,
It's not very long.
yeah, it's not too horribly long.
Right. And basically the origami killer keeps killing the victims, all young children, I think between the ages of 10 to 13, if I recall. He drowns them in water. So he only captures them within a certain time frame. Is it like late fall? What was it?
Yeah, something somewhere in the fall time. I don't.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Something like that, where there's this heavy rain that always falls every time of year in this particular city or town, whatever it is. And so he's putting them into a place where they can't escape, and the water fills up into a small hole, and they drown. So,
Wow.
right, and then he leaves numerous clues for, I presume both parents, but seems to sort of hinge on the fathers more most of the time. Most of the characters that he interacts with are fathers,
Hmm.
and this origami killer's left uh, clues all over the place for these fathers to track down their missing children.
Right. And that's where kind of Ethan comes in, is that, say his son is going to become the next victim if you don't
Right.
bust some
Bust a
skulls,
move.
bust a move.
Well, Ethan doesn't necessarily have to bust any skulls, but Scott does.
Probably
Scott
his own.
definitely. Yeah, he's got, like you said, he has a lot of issues. We don't have to go into much detail. You're starting me, but he does happen to be living alone, very broken family life and everything, and so he's very distraught. Just before the event that happens of his son being kidnapped, he's already very distraught. He's very distant with his son. He's having issues reconnecting with his son, and this happens to him.
Yeah, he's not doing good on the parenting
No,
thing.
he's really not. And it's not more or less a lack of wanting to be a good parent. It's just he's so lost. He just doesn't know what to do anymore.
Mm. So that's so you have Ethan, Scott. Another character is Norman Jaden.
I like this guy a lot.
He is
He's so goofy.
he's a really interesting character in
Hmm.
that he's kind of for what he is, because dude's like a was it FBI profiler or
Yeah,
agent,
profiler.
and he seems like such a pussy. Like
He seems like a total weirdo too, right? Like his interactions are just so strange.
yeah, he is very I almost want to like throw Mulder in there kind of thing in a way.
He's like a combination of Johnny Depp in pretty much every movie with Mulder and like Brad Pitt. Like it's such a weird with what's that actor's name? Ben Affleck's Boston accent or something. It's such a amalgamation of different like characters and actors and stuff. But I think that's what makes him kind of charming in a way because he's obviously trying to do the right thing, but he just seems like such a butthead. Like he's just such a dope half the time.
Yeah, and I think yeah, and he's not like a somebody you root against or anything, but
No,
I mean, you don't want him to die, but
no, you don't.
eh,
I like him personally. I like him.
yeah, yeah, well,
I
yeah,
like that he's kind of weird. He adds a good mix to these other characters that are very extreme.
yeah.
It seems like all of the characters are kind of extreme in their own way, and he's just like the weird extreme sort of.
And but he does have the really really cool Ari,
Right, which is pretty awesome.
which is this thing he puts on these glasses, and he has this glove that interfaces with it, and it brings him to this kind of which something we totally fucking wish we could have with the virtual reality kind of thing.
Which I guess people are trying to develop now. But anyways,
It's true. But he kind of has a dark side with having to use this Ari interface, and that he likes to use drugs.
a little bit.
He's got a little bit of an issue with what do they call it? Tryptocane?
Tryptophan, I think.
Trip?
Tryptocane?
I
Tryptocane?
think
Yeah,
it's
tryptocane.
tryptocane.
Sorry, tryptocane.
Yeah. So
That almost makes him a little bit sane in a way too. It almost is his grounder in a way, which is weird. Like using the drug sort of makes him feel like he's a normal person, but he's always trying to resist it because he knows it's destroying him at the same time.
dun dun dun.
So that's another aspect of him. He's a really complex character. He's probably the most complex out of all of them.
Mm.
He's on so many different levels with all the different people he interacts with and stuff. One person he'll be so totally empathetic with, and the next person he's at their throat. And so I personally I like him. I think he's the most dynamic character.
Yeah, yeah, I like him too. I see. Yeah, he's very
As I said,
funny character.
not necessarily likable, just very very interesting.
Mm.
So yeah.
And then the last kind of main character here you have is Madison, Madison
Hmm.
Page,
Yeah.
and she is a photojournalist. Sure,
Yeah.
just yeah, yes,
Seems
photojournalist,
to be
journalist.
more just journalist. It's like photojournalist. She doesn't really seem to do too much with the
Well,
camera.
like I don't know if she
It's a
just
lot more of
has
just a
yeah
journalist. So.
kind of, but she has some issues with insomnia,
Hmm.
and that like becomes apparent right from the beginning.
Right.
And the very first instance you have, you kind of control her. It's kind of dealing with that, and you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Right. The first time you meet her is kind of weird. I personally I don't like this aspect of her. I like the character as a whole.
Mm.
I like everything about her except for that. I feel like that's a little tacked on. You only sort of explore that early in the game, and then potentially at the very very end. But in the middle, I don't really feel like it gets expanded upon very much.
Yeah, it just seems to kind of be the uh,
Just another quirk for her almost,
right. Yeah.
which is fine. But I felt like there was more than enough to already like the character as she was. So.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and her, what's her name, involvement in the whole ordeal feels a little forced, but she forces it herself,
Mhm.
so it's kind of forgivable in that regard.
Right, she's not just slapped in there. It feels part of her character. It seems to be part of her nature to just sort of be a little bit nosy. As a journalist, she's pushing forward, not just, oh, she's definitely not a damsel in distress by any means, but she's certainly not just, oh, we're just going to insert because we need a female character in this particular sequence or something.
Mm.
It doesn't feel so much like that.
Yeah,
I think she's a pretty strong character.
yeah. There's definitely points in her, what do I want to say, in her playability that she needs to kind of sack up and do what needs to be done.
Yeah, we can talk a bit about that.
So yeah, but those are four main I guess playable characters there.
Yeah,
So
and the playable characters. And then there's obviously going to be a variety of secondary characters, which are also very good. I like the police chief. I think he's done really well.
mm,
I can't think of his name, but I think they kind of even nailed the look of him. I think just something about the look of him looked really good. Do you remember his name by any chance?
not a, I want to say I want to say Miller, but that just doesn't sound right.
It doesn't.
Um,
It might have been, but anyways, I like him a lot. I thought that the voice acting for him and stuff was really good. I thought they nailed him. And then Blake, who's sort of the opposite end of Jaden, of Norman Jaden, is sort of very harsh and critical police officer who doesn't really believe in optimism very much.
a bit of a dick. Just say it. He's just a bit of a dick. He likes to kind of play the bad cop to Jaden's mm, kind of, I guess, depending on how you are, good cop bits there.
Jaden can definitely follow him, but more or less when I'm playing, I don't really. I like the play between them when they're not sort of on the same page.
Mm.
But I still like Blake. Blake's a really good character as well.
Yeah, he's because the story is very much like a movie. You can see that trope being kind of so the tropes of these characters kind of playing out very similar, I guess, with some nuances here and there. But Blake's character is very common,
Right, right.
but nothing bad with it. Just
Yeah,
a very
not in a bad way, for sure, not for
right.
sure.
So
All right. Well, why don't we sort of break into the story, but we've sort of already delved into it a little bit.
mm,
As you had mentioned that you do play as the four characters, so they all go different routes into interacting sometimes with each other, other times completely avoiding each other. Uh, how did you feel about just that way they pursued it? I mean, you do get the moments where some of the characters interact. It's not very often, to be honest, but um, just what did you feel about this ability to sort of play the game as four different characters and control their destiny?
I liked it. There's parts where you could, even though you say kind of control your destiny, there's even if you do botch certain things, you're not completely gonna fuck them over, except for at very specific events.
Right.
So in that kind of regard, I was like, that's kind of. I don't want to say I was disappointed in that.
Hmm.
I mean, I mean, for example, at one point you're making fucking eggs.
Right.
Unless you somehow catch the house on fire, kind of thing. I'm not expecting a fucking life or death kind of, oh shit, gotta make these eggs just right, or, something bad's gonna happen. But I like that it went to different perspectives because generally with these detective things, you're usually just focusing in on the detectives that are doing all the work. It's
Right.
usually just the one perspective, so you're just getting this very focused, very kind of like tunnel vision kind of thing going. But with four different threads going and interweaving with one another at times, and completely tangenting out in other ways, it gave you a lot of information to kind of sit there and try to process.
Hmm.
Which, I mean, it's good because they can throw out any sort of red herring or just kind of obviously not the real killer, but you know, here's something to distract you kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I like that, and it allowed you to kind of, you know, take it in and be like, okay, all right, okay. Especially if you like to try to solve these detective mysteries before they kind of flat out tell you who the killer is, kind of thing. So,
Right. I like the mundane stuff. I think the only thing is you're pressured a little bit to do some of the stuff. Not always, but sometimes. That felt a little bit out of place, but thought they did a pretty good job of balancing what it might be like to naturally be in one of these situations, aside from some of the really intense ones,
mm,
the life or death ones. But just the general thing of, okay, there's a scene where Ethan has to take care of his son, and he's got this list of, okay, you've got to give him dinner at this time. You have to tell him to do his homework at this time. It's time for bed at this time. He's scared of the dark, so he needs his teddy bear. And you try to do your best to follow it. And of course, you're playing the game. You can just screw it up as much as you want on purpose. Or
horrible
sometimes
father.
you're playing it for the first time, and sometimes you don't know what to do, so you just accidentally make mistakes, but the game doesn't completely punish you for it. But the game can be really rewarding for you if you do figure out those things, which I thought was cool.
True, true. There are some subtle nuances that if you tried to do or adhere to, it felt more rewarding than just saying, fuck this kid, who cares?
Right, feels a little more complete.
Right.
Hmm. Made you feel good about playing as the characters, not just like a typical game where sometimes it's just what's going to happen. You're the hero. You're going to blow up, the space station or something. You could make mistakes in this game.
Be a horrible father.
You could be a horrible father, or you could try to be the best father you can be, and despite this terrible situation that's occurring. So I really like that. I like the obviously the plot weaving together, and I like just the individual scenes of, okay, here's Jaden just playing a piano, and what is that scene called? Something like Jaden Blues or something silly, and
Something silly, yeah.
something like that. So I like that stuff. I really did. One thing we should touch upon too is the choice sort of system that can come up in the game,
Oh God,
where
yeah.
the stuff floats over their head. Now, I thought about this really deeply. I was thinking at first, I really, really like it. And then when I thought about it, I kind of dislike how little time you have to make some of these choices. And they're floating around their head. So you're trying to read it and you're like, what the hell did that say? Because sometimes the camera doesn't sit really well where you can read everything easily.
Hmm.
But when I ultimately broke it down, I felt that it was a good choice because it felt more natural instead of just being like a dope and just standing there waiting to make a choice for the next like 20 minutes. You could just be watching the words fly around and nothing happen. The game forces you to choose something or an automatic response occurs. So I like that because it felt a bit more natural, as in somebody asked you a question, you would answer it within a reasonable amount of time. You wouldn't just
Just
stand
stand
there.
there.
Oh. So I think that was probably what they were going for. So I liked it when I really thought about it that way.
I like it too, but I I had the misfortune of this being one of the first Western games I'd played in a while. So the X and circle or the X and circle are reversed with their
Whoops.
affirmative
Right.
and stuff, and so I I would see yes, and then it's the X button, and I know they do mix it from,
Mentally.
and I would hit the wrong one because it's kind because I'm so damn used to playing it. Why isn't circle confirmed? Come on, that bugs
But
me.
that's not the game's fault though, technically, right? I
I'm
mean,
not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm
that's
antecedent here, but
that's just yeah.
it's just come on. Why? It's just. But no, I do like it.
Hmm.
So
I thought it was pretty neat. It definitely is something that other games have now expanded upon, and even games before had done. But I thought it was executed well.
probably the one thing I do have an issue with is there's certain types. They showed you can click on the kind of like a menu button to bring it up. I think select or something, or
Mm.
but there's certain types of icons, and at first I always was flipping the oh, there's one that like, for lack of a better word, it kind of like throbs, kind of blinks, and then there is another icon that has the arrow on the top part of the square. So you're supposed to, like, for the one that blinks, you're supposed to kind of repeatedly hit it, and the one that's got
Oh,
that
right, right,
pointer,
right, right.
you're supposed to hold it down.
Hold. Okay,
And
yeah.
when I was first trying to play through it, I was too stupid to kind of recognize that icon was, so I was botching things at the beginning. I was like,
Mm,
why
yeah,
is this
right, right.
supposed to be this way? Oh.
Wasn't there a little thing on the bottom that said if you see the arrow, press and hold, or if you see it flashing, you should be pushing it quickly? Wasn't there like a
Yeah,
little pointer at the beginning?
yeah, which I just ignored,
Just forgot? Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, it's just that's totally user stupidity at work, but it's just I don't know. Not even just that, but there's times where it would pop up, and I don't know if I'm just going blind, cataract in the eyes or something there, but just for whatever reason I would see this where it's telling you to hold it down, and I would just kind of tap the button, and I was just like, God damn it! And it's just I would do it, and I know immediately after I did it, I did the wrong fucking thing, and I'm just like, come
Right.
on.
Fortunately for you, a lot of the segments are broken up into very nice small portions. So if you do mess up a part and you want to play it again, it's pretty easy to start over.
Yeah, but that's just
It still can be annoying for sure.
well, I wouldn't want to do that. Just for the first time through, I want to, like, if that were to happen, I would have just let it go as it were, kind
Mm,
of thing. That's, I guess, for the first time through going. That's how I approached it.
right. I played this game when not right when it came up, but kind of after that. I think I finished it early 2011 or something. I don't recall if I just sort of played it all the way through. I think there was a few times where I purposely didn't do things
Mm.
to see what would happen, and then I would play that particular segment again, doing what I actually meant to do. But I think typically speaking, I tried to play it. No, maybe I didn't do that. Maybe I did just play it exactly how it was supposed to be played, and then that's what I did play it exactly how I wanted to play it. If I made mistakes, I made mistakes, but I got to the end with four characters, blah blah blah, whatever, and then I sort of did some of the stuff later and purposely botched it to see what would happen
Right, right, right.
because I was curious, like, oh, is this a serious thing? Was it just more like, oh, the kid slaps you in the face or something because you did something stupid? And did you pour beer in his cereal? Like, what did you do? Sort of thing.
Beer and
So
Cheerios, breakfast champions.
yeah, well, it should be Wheaties probably then. But anyways, that's another thing is we didn't mention just that the game is broken up into those little segments. So I love the menus too, right? Where it shows like the little just like clip of the eyes on the menu screen of whose segment it is. Like it has
Uh,
on the left hand side, it has like just a little bit of their face, each character's face. So if this segment is Madison, it just has like her eyes and just a little bit of her face, and then it shows like the name of the the chapter, and I think it says who it is as well. But
I have no idea what you're talking about.
just on the chapter select screen, did you just play the game straight through? Did
I
you
just
go
played the game
to the
straight
chapter?
through. Yeah, no, none of this. No, I
You're missing out, man. You're missing out on just like re-enjoying some of the other chapters if you
well,
wanted
I
to. And
borrowed the game from
yeah,
somebody,
yeah. No.
so
All right, all right.
and I
Take it easy.
gave
Take it
it. I
easy.
gave it
Okay.
back. Well, no, he told me to borrow it. I had two games. He had told me to borrow that and another one, and
Mhm.
he insisted that I play through that one first, so I played through that one, and then I had another one I still had to get through. So
Mm. But anyways, in the chapter select screen, you can choose, and it has like this just nice little graphics and stuff.
okay.
I had beaten the game a while ago, so I was just kind of dabbling in it again
Mm.
because you had just finished it. So I just sort of did some of the segments. I didn't play through the whole game. Uh, just didn't have the time for it. I think I will, though. I think I probably will in the near future, maybe in a year or two, sit down and sort of play it again.
I don't know. Sometimes it's really hard for me to like watch a movie or read a book that's got the mystery aspect that's kind of revealed unless it really gets me into it. Like I don't know why, but I'll watch Seven all the time.
Mhm.
I love Seven for some goddamn reason. I have no idea why, but um, I don't know if I could go back to something like this just because just because I know who the killer is. So
Sure, it's a big reveal, and once you know it.
right.
But I think it's just more or less trying to experience the game in a different way because this game does offer a very large number of different endings.
Mm,
That's more or less the big draw for me. I had already actually accomplished a fair number of them, maybe 12 or 13 of them. I don't know exactly how many there are, maybe 18, 19,
mm.
something like that. There's quite a few. Because of there being four different characters, they all can, have completely different routes to getting to the end.
Right.
So I think that's probably why I'll sit down and play it again and kind of thing and just sort of enjoy it for what it is. I don't really have to be surprised as I do know the plots. So
Right. I don't know. Yeah, it's not that I have to be surprised. It just feels, I don't know. If it feels more like a chore to me if I was to go
mhm.
through it, because I like the game, and sure, it is a bunch of quick time events and stuff, but there are times where it's not solely quick time events. You're kind of just going around and you're making eggs or something and
Taking care of babies.
juggling.
Yeah, juggling.
uh,
That's at the beginning.
yeah. Now you can do it again too. But
Mm.
it's it would feel like a chore for me to try to do that again, I guess, even though there are a ton of different endings and different ways that you could approach certain events in the game.
Mm.
So,
That's fair enough. I would probably say many people are in the same boat as you, that they got their experience out of the game. They enjoyed it. They thought it was an excellent game,
mm,
and then they put it down, and that was good. That was good for them. So,
mm.
and that's fine. That's probably not exactly what the developers wanted, but I'm sure they were under the impression that would be the case.
You can't.
I'm,
I'm sorry. I was
I
gonna
was
say
maybe they would just probably be really excited just the fact that people would finish the game since a lot
exactly.
of people
That's
don't finish games anymore. So,
right. I think that would. I think somebody who makes a game that they would be just as happy with somebody who played through and completed the game or beat the game as somebody that just dove in and dissected everything about it and just breathed the game kind of thing.
right.
I think they could be just as happy with both of those kind of players. I mean, I wouldn't assume they'd get kind of peeved. They'd just probably be disappointed in themselves that they weren't able to make a product for certain players that just didn't finish it. They might
Right.
just be disappointed in themselves, but I don't think they'd be like, God damn it, players, why aren't the fuck aren't you beating these games? Kind of thing.
Right. Right.
So,
I would say, well, okay, actually, before I even say anything, what do you think? Do you believe that many people actually went through the entire game?
I would, uh, I have no idea. I'm such a poor,
Just as a guess, obviously
I,
we don't know the answer, so
I would hope that they would at least beat the game kind of thing. I would
Hmm.
assume that what would happen is that they at least played through and beat it, and they tried to do it without having anybody getting the whole four heroes thing and like nobody dying kind of thing.
Right.
I think that's, and if they botched something up, they would remedy that and kind of, fix it up to where that weren't the case.
Right. I would hope so too. I would hope that people played through the entire game. It's not a really long game. I mean, what is it about?
10, 12
Yeah, maybe
hours?
10 hours. I mean, and that's the main game. I've spent more time because I've tried to get some of the other endings. I was really curious and stuff like that. So, um, so it's not a horribly long game, and it's fairly easy to deal with. You know what we forgot to mention actually was you had mentioned about so, some button things and stuff that you had issue with. There are some options on this game to actually make it a lot easier. I haven't tried them, but I know that you can. I don't know exactly what effects happen, but I know you can tone down how much of the controller input is put into the game.
Huh.
Like right from the menu screen, I think it's at any time you could just change it anytime you're playing the game, if I recall. So that's really nice. I think that was a good ploy on their part to get people who don't play games. Maybe, you're playing your game and your mom's walking by. It's like, what is that? It looks like a movie kind of thing. And then you're like, well, why don't you try this? Mom's like, no, I don't know how to play no games. Look at all these buttons and stuff. And I know you can tone it down to, I don't know if it's just the face buttons or whatever, but to make it a lot easier, which I like. I think that's a smart move on their part.
Yeah, that's pretty nifty. I didn't know about that. Um, I would say that, yeah, anybody who would feel a little, what's the word I want to use?
Overwhelmed?
Overwhelmed with the QTE kind of thing, because people seem to carry some very deep scars with that kind of mechanic. Um, the, there is a bit of an issue with it when the prompts come from completely different areas of the screen.
Right, and different areas on the controller at times too.
Right. So, I mean, some of them aren't so bad where you're having to hold down certain combinations. That's actually fairly simple. But for example, just that juggling one, the
That's
first,
pretty tough.
it's weird because it goes straight to your hands,
Right.
and it's because he's trying to juggle it, the prompts are moving and you got to. I mean, it's not it's usually just one of the face buttons, but it's for the very first time, it's kind of disorienting. You're like, what the? Oh, hold it! Stop moving! Come on, dude.
Madison's sexy dancing, that part's kind of hard. You got to be pretty focused to make sure you get that because there's some pretty quick button presses on that one.
Nah, yeah, it's
You got to get what was it? Paco or something? Paco's
yeah,
attention.
something.
Big sleaze bag.
Yeah.
Great character. Great side character. I like the way you move, Madison. He's a great slime ball character.
But yeah, it's a very it's it can be a very tense experience when playing
Mm,
it. I know that there's a certain event. There's a couple of them where you have to like tilt the controller with that six-axis thing,
right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I jerked the controller too fast, and it got excited, and it flew out of my hand.
Woo.
And I'm surprised the character did not die when that happened, because that was during a scene that it totally could have happened. And yeah, if that didn't make it more intense right there, it's like, Jesus Christ, my controller kind of thing, and running off and trying to grab the controller because you had to tilt like jerk the controller to a certain direction, like
Yeah,
left or
up,
the
down,
right.
yeah, yeah, right.
You kind of tilt it one way or the other, and it's like, I tilted it right, and it flew out of my hands. And I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like diving for it, and it's got these other prompts for, don't kill yourself, asshole. You need to like be
Right.
paying attention to this. I'm like,
Go to the
shit,
left,
shit, shit. If you want to make the game even more intense, just have that controller fly out of your hand. That'll make you go, God damn it, I do not want this to happen. So,
Well, why don't we talk about just a couple more things before we hit a sort of wrap up and the 10 degrees of Taylor.
uh,
Okay, so first thing I was just curious, what did you think about the voice acting and the performances?
I like them for the most part. The Jaden's a little weird. There's something about his that it's just something just his. I don't know if it's because there's the choices you can make during some of his dialogue,
Hmm.
where you can kind of be harsher in tone or kind of just ignore Blake and
Calm.
right,
Right.
calm and stuff. But it feels a little disjointed
Hmm.
because of that. I really like Scott's voice actor.
Yeah.
His voice actor is really cool.
Apparently the character was modeled after the voice actor as well for that one.
Okay, it's in
I
a
think
lot of them
most of them are actually, yeah. So,
because I think Madison's actually like I think she's modeled after a model if I were,
okay.
but probably completely different voice actress I assume.
Maybe.
So, but no, yeah, I really like Scott's voice. His voice is really I just like that character. I like that like,
Yeah, he's a
the
good
PI
character.
kind of thing. So,
Right.
but yeah,
Okay, so for the most part then it was pretty good.
yeah, for the most part, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I felt the same. I think there are some disjointed parts that are a little funky, partly maybe due to, as you said, when you do make choices, it seems to break it up. So they seem to be on one tangent of talking, and then because there's a pause, they want you to respond in a way. It's a bit abrupt
Hmm.
at times. Not really bad. It's just a bit odd at times. So for the most part, yeah, I think Scott was definitely one of the strongest, and Madison as well. I think Madison comes across quite realistic and well portrayed.
Mad Jax is
Uh,
pretty funny. I like his voice
Matt
acting.
Matt Jack's pretty good.
His voice acting.
The doctor's is really
Yeah,
good
he's
too.
like,
He's played really well. He's
yeah.
played really well. And like I said, I like the police chief. I thought the police chief was quite strong as well. So some of these side characters are done very well.
Hmm.
All right, so that's one. How about now? Here's the spoiler alert. I guess we've done, I hope, a fairly good job of not breaking. Why don't we talk about a few of the spoiler things here? Like, okay, this is the spoiler alert once again. Some of the deaths and some of the endings and things like that.
Dun dun dun.
So, what did you think about like some of the deaths? I mean, honestly, to me, there's only one death in this game that is bar none like the worst death and creepiest death in the whole game, and that is with the doctor. It's by far the worst. I know. I don't think you've seen it.
No, I
Uh,
haven't.
I think I mentioned it to you a little bit, but do you know sort of what happens?
I'm assuming she gets cut up into little pieces.
So Madison eventually she goes to this doctor to get information to keep on to the case or to keep hot on the trail, and she goes to this doctor who's supplying just I guess pills to pushers and stuff, right?
Hmm.
Whatever. And he's this creepy doctor who, as far as I can tell, is modeled after anyone who's seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the one of the main Nazi guys, the main sort of guy that Harrison Ford keeps physically fighting with. I'm pretty sure he's modeled after that guy. So he's pretty creepy looking dude. Really got like too perfect of a Florida tan for a guy living in a small town that seems to be raining all the time kind of thing.
North
He hits the tanning salon
Northwestern
far too often.
Boston land.
And he's got like his little Hawaiian shirt on and everything. Funky looking dude. But Madison has a really weird interaction with this guy, and he's constantly trying to convince her to take this drink. First time I played the game, actually, I didn't. I mentioned this to you. I didn't take the drink, and I luckily found the card and I left right away. I actually didn't even interact with the guy. I was really creeped out. I was like, this guy is just weird. Like I don't want to talk to this guy. I just want to leave.
Pale.
But I knew I needed to get some kind of clue, and I just totally dumb luck found the clue and left. But you, on the other hand, did not, right?
I decided to go in a little further, and of course,
Little peeping.
yeah. Well, I I didn't even know you could leave was the thing. I was
Mm,
just kind of under the impression, oh well, I'm this asshole hasn't come back yet, and so I just wandered back into the kitchen, and he took a bat
back.
to her head
Dunk.
there. Don't.
Yeah, and then I think I mentioned I had actually done this scene a few times. If you don't do anything and she just stands there, she will just walk down the hallway automatically. And if you do take the medicine, she automatically gets knocked out
Oh, lovely.
by the medicine.
Uh,
And he's like staring at her and he says something creepy like,
yeah.
you never should take the medicine or something. He says something creepy. I don't know what it is, but she ends up on a giant, slab that he's got, I don't know what kind of, just some sort of saw of some kind, right? Some sort of bone
Bone
saw
saw
that
or
he's,
something.
something creepy. And then, he's got a drill and some other shit. It turns into like a torture porn scene, like what's that movie, Hostel or something like that to that effect. But she is saved by a guardian angel who supposed to be a guardian angel. This goofy goofy dweeb that starts ringing the doorbell. I don't. Is he trying to sell Bibles or
Is he a Jehovah's Witness or something? I'm not
something? He's
something.
he's like, have you praised the Lord
I
today,
was
sir?
busy trying to save myself to pay attention to what the fuck that
Right,
dude was
right, right,
saying.
right. Um,
So,
yeah, but pretty funny the interaction with this doctor and this guy at the door. Um, and did you get away the first time? I think you mentioned,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I didn't
Yeah, and actually, if you don't get away the first time, the guy comes to the door a second time, and he rings the doorbell again, and the guy's like, "What the hell is like? I don't want whatever you're selling or whatever you're bringing to the door." And I could be wrong. He comes to the door a third time. He could come to the door a third time, or it's in the second time. The doctor just lets him in, and then he hits him with the baseball bat. He knocks out the guy.
get.
He kills the guy. He didn't kill him, but he knocks out this guy. He invites him in the house, and he cracks him with a baseball bat. Uh, and first time I played the game, I left, but then I played again, and you did as well, where Madison can escape. And she drills that fucker with a drill right in the heart.
Yeah,
It's
she's not
pretty
happy
brutal.
with him.
And he gets drilled pretty good there. He gets smoked. But she can die there, and it's quite disgusting.
Yeah, she got cut
She
when I was playing through her
she
thing.
doesn't quite get cut up, but he starts caressing her chest and
Ugh,
inner thigh, and then it fades to black.
lovely,
So it's quite disturbing. It's probably the most disturbing death in the entire game.
lovely, lovely.
Uh, really, I really like that scene. It feels like a very good turning point in the game where it takes it very seriously suddenly for me. Very good scene. What about Jaden though? What about Mad Jack there?
I never died with him there, but
Yeah,
I'm
first time I didn't either. I got damn close
I'm
though.
assuming like because I just held him at gunpoint and took the
He gave up.
trypticane and I didn't have
Okay.
any issue administering it and told
And I
Matt
refused to take it. So
well, I kind of thought you needed to because this dude's kind of tripping his balls off. He's starting to lose it, and
right.
I'm like, I don't need this dude to fucking smash.
And you found that skeleton in that vat of acid.
I
So.
mean, seriously, Mad Jack, he would have crushed this dude in half.
Oh
Just
yeah, he's a big dude.
he's a big motherfucker, and
Right.
and so I wasn't taking chances. It says no, 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 no,
Right.
and so I didn't have any issues with it.
Right. And Jaden can avoid taking it there, and he passes out. And then Mad Jack actually tries to crush him in a car. And then you can get into a quick time event there. That's a really, really intense scene. I don't know why I was so opposed to taking the drug. Maybe I was just thinking like, I didn't think he was going to pass out. There was just like, oh, he'll be fine kind of thing. Does Mad Jack hit him with something?
Uh,
Hit him with a pipe?
uh, he starts swinging at him at first
Right.
but I don't, not when he starts kind of losing it.
I'm a little vague there, but anyways, he does wake up in the car, and then you can get out of the car, and then you can kill Mad Jack and all this jazz. But that's a really intense scene, really cool scene too.
And I missed it.
Uh, yeah, well, you can always check on YouTube since you already know the game, kind of. You just want to see what it looks like. I think the only other time you can get a really intense death scene is right at the end as well.
Before with Ethan. Ethan has where he's driving. This is where the controller flew out of my hand when you're
Hmm.
driving on the opposite, when you're going,
Ethan can die there?
can't he? When he's going against traffic?
I don't know because I made it through the one time, and I've never ever played that scene again
I
because
would,
it's just too intense
I
for me.
would
I'm just like,
assume that just,
I would presume too,
I,
but Ethan might have to go the distance sort of thing. They might not let him die.
I was
He
kind of
might just drive off the road kind of thing and into a ditch or something.
something
Who knows, right?
fail
Right,
the
just kind of fail the
trial.
test.
Well, I mean, if not, then sure the fuck felt like it. That's just certain. So
He's got some intense tests though. Hey, like cutting the finger one is pretty brutal.
yeah, that's pretty painful.
You can do it in a number of ways, which is brutal. I think the first time I did it, I just did the knife because he keeps saying how he wants to do a clean cut
Oh yeah, the knife was right there. Like okay,
knife, and I was lucky enough. I was like, hey, what I can cauterize with the pipe or yeah, the rebar or whatever, and then I cauterized it, and so he was okay after. But
yeah.
you can just use like those dull scissors that are in the back.
Oh,
Oh yeah, there's pliers where you can just sort of try to rip it off kind of thing.
oh, fuck that.
There's a saw.
Oh,
There's I think you can just leave as well. Obviously, you can just leave.
oh,
Um, there's some intense ones, and like I tried the scissors one the other day because I was just replaying it, and the scissors one's pretty brutal. He's just like screaming. He doesn't even make the cut, and then he actually just kind of breaks it off because
oh,
what's
god damn.
yeah, it's
Oh,
pretty intense. Ethan goes to some big trouble to try to keep his son alive.
fuck.
So yeah, it's
Oh, that.
just thinking about it is intense, and this is a video game, right? So it's pretty tough.
Yeah, that one with the finger. Like I figured he would, inflict bodily harm on himself.
Right.
Just hearing that plot. Ah, that ah.
But the fact that you have choices of how you want to do it is it can make it as brutal as you want or as
It's
as
pretty goddamn brutal.
easy or it's a brutal scene. It is. Obviously he has a potential murder scene, which I couldn't go through. I was like, I just can't kill this guy. I was like, I just don't feel right about doing it.
Yeah, it didn't seem right.
Yeah, I know he's a skeezy drug dealer or whatever, but it's like I just doesn't seem like Ethan's character. It just
Right,
doesn't feel right. And then the poison I didn't take either.
right. Yeah, I didn't do that either.
It's like I can't do the poison. It's like if he dies, how's he going to save his son, kind of thing. And eventually, if you do the poison, you can survive enough to the end of the game. But yeah. So Jaden's got a couple of death scenes. Mad Jack is one. Actually, he can die in the nightclub. The fight scene there with the origami killer.
Oh, really?
Where the origami killer, we can't see who he is, and then they have the big fight scene there,
Uh-huh.
and he gets
Oh, the
the sword,
sword. Yeah, there's the
trying to
sword.
chop
That's
him
right.
in half and stuff. Yeah, he can get stabbed right through the chest.
Ooh,
He like lays. Remember, there's a point where he falls on the desk.
right.
You can just get like completely like stabbed straight through,
Damn.
and Jade just like twitches. He's just on the table, and then he's done. He's done after that.
Yeah, I imagine you kind of.
He's pretty kid. He doesn't pull a Devil May Cry where he like goes through the he goes through the sword. He's cooked by that point. So and then obviously Madison, they all can die in the final scene at the warehouse, all in different ways. Ethan, I mentioned to you, can get shot down by the cops, which is just crazy. Like he goes to all this trouble and he can get killed by the cops, gunned down. And then Norman and Madison can get killed by the origami killer. They have a big fight scene there, and you can try to save the origami killer as well, actually.
Yeah, I
And then
tried to. And
turns out to be a
some,
dick. Well, he turns out to be a dick.
turns out
And
to be
then,
a royal dick.
so he still ends up getting what he deserves by falling into the little shredder there,
Little
right?
shredder there. Yeah,
So
suck it.
yeah, he doesn't do too well after that, that's for sure. But anyways, why don't we hit the big reveal, and
Da-da-da.
then we'll do 10 Degrees of Taylor,
Okay.
and then we'll shut her down.
Shut her down.
So the big reveal is, take it away, Taylor.
It was actually. Did you get it before they revealed who it was?
I had an idea of who it was,
Uh-huh.
but that's usually how it is for me, where I've got a pretty good idea when I'm watching a film or reading a book or whatever. But I get the reveal and I'm satisfied then. So I didn't quite know.
Okay, okay. I got it. Kind of. I think we kind of talked about it a little bit. There's a certain scene that occurs, but yeah, as Sushi said, if you don't want to hear it, don't want to hear it. Stop it now. The origami killer is actually one of the main players, Scott
Right.
Shelby, the
Yes, it
PI,
is.
who I loved so much, and I was
Yeah, they did
is-
an excellent job of making you feel sympathetic towards this character and having pretty much no idea for at least the majority of the game that he would be this evil person. He seems to have the best of intentions of trying to do the right thing, and he's just a deranged killer.
Yeah, and the big thing that kind of set me off that was just there's this scene where he gets kind of thrown into the river with a
Oh,
car,
right,
and and he gets out of that, and he's like pissed to the point where he has this huge giant like shootout.
right.
And to me, this just felt really weird because he's just going in and without any sort of just zero fucks given attitude kind of thing, just
Hmm.
starts gunning down people at this mansion he goes to afterwards because who tried to drown him. And I'm just
Right.
like, this seems really weird. It seemed just really. I mean, yeah, you do have these instances of violence in his playthroughs, but there's just this that to me just seemed really off. I was like, why would this be anything unless there was an actual like, kind of ulterior motive to it? And
Hmm.
it's because he's the fucking killer.
Well, most of his acts of violence are typically in defense
Right,
uh, of himself or someone else
right.
until this moment. Now, I kind of got triggered off in the gunfight. Triggered me off. I was like, wait a minute. I was playing it, and I wasn't doing so well at it. The first time I played, I took some pretty massive damage, and enough to think I was like, holy shit, he should be dead here. Like I was like, he took a beating. Like he was getting shot a
Mm.
lot. And the scene shows him literally just hobble away without finishing like the fight. He kills a couple of guys and then he gets shot however many times. And then he hobbles away and he pretty much looks like he's got like a shoulder wound, but he'd been shot like 15 times or something. And I was like, that didn't make any sense that he didn't die there. It was like, but I had much more potential of dying with the doctor. I had much more potential of dying with Mad Jack and the other fights. I was like, what the hell is like this guy just pretty much got mowed down and he walked away. Well, something's up. This is like there's this guy's got to be either involved with the killer somehow or he is the killer at least.
Yeah, just that very first that shot when he drives his car into the mansion, where
Right.
that first bodyguard he shoots, kind of
Oh, it's just
yeah,
completely cold blood,
yeah,
man.
and you're just like the fuck kind of thing.
Right.
So
And,
that's
and he's using like a Colt 45. He's not just using, some little dinky pea
no,
shooter or something. He's packing the heat. Like
he's fucking up people.
right,
That's
right. And also I found it weird that he that Lauren could die. Lauren was somebody we didn't mention Lauren. Lauren is a side character that tags along with Scott for most of the game. And the fact that Lauren, I was like, okay, other characters can die, but I was like, the fact that he could just pretty much just ignore her,
and
like he
then
doesn't,
right.
he could just not even attempt to save her. And I was like, yeah, I know that's player's choice, but it seems a bit weird that even like player's choice would just be given the option of just completely ignoring her. Seemed a bit weird to me,
Yeah.
especially because they seem to have a pretty strong bond as the game goes on. So I was like, that's a bit odd as well.
Yeah. It's fucking.
But anyways, some of the endings do have him getting away scot-free, literally scot-free.
Oh, that was painful.
Um,
Uh,
not as painful as Norman's accent, or what's his name?
Blake's origami.
Blake Origami, the motherfucking origami killer.
Okay.
But anyways, some of the endings are really wonderful. Like they're very uplifting and happy and great, and then some of them are just downright depressing. There's one where Ethan's son dies. They don't show it, but they show that the grate where he's been hidden from is full of water. He's dead. And Scott gets away, and the other characters die there at their graves or whatever, and things like that. And so it's there's some really bad ones, but the first time I played through, I got the nice ending with Madison and Ethan rebuilding their life with the son and stuff. So
See,
it was nice.
I got it without them together, which was totally fine with me. But I actually like Madison's where she's signing books at the end and everything, and
That's a good one. That's a creepy one.
and the dude, and there's this dude that they don't show, but
Don't show his face.
yeah, he's kind of saying it's like, oh yeah, kind of you did.
Perhaps you need a more worthy
Right, you
adversary.
need more, what, like violent or more aggressive or something like that. So,
Something. What
I think it was
was the
aggressive.
closer to aggressive, but I don't know if that was the word he
Uh,
used.
but something along those
Something,
lines
yeah,
that
yeah.
it's like,
And she looks up, and you're like,
and
"Whoa,
he's gone,
that's
and you're like,
yeah,
holy shit, I like that. That's
that's creepy."
yeah.
Right. And there's Norman. If he survives, he does like a TV show interview and stuff. And
He
uh,
hallucinated in mine. He
there's one where he hallucinates. There's one where yeah, because he's still taking the drug at that point, right?
yeah.
I think if you don't take the drug, there's an ending where he actually quits the FBI and he's like completely clean and everything.
Uh,
The ending I had, and I didn't take the drug, was the one where he was on the TV show. So I don't know.
no,
I don't know how that all works out, but
it had him on the TV show, and it showed him also after that
hallucinate
hallucinating, where
with the
he's
glasses on, right?
seeing tanks and stuff. And,
Tanks,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Maybe I did take it then. Or maybe
you
what the hell? I don't remember taking the drug though, so
tisk tisk.
I don't remember. It's been a while, so I have to sit through the endings. But anyways, I like that there's all these different endings, and you can see just where they end up. And some of them, as I said, some of them are really, really depressing.
Yeah,
So
Ethan seemed from what I heard there,
Ethan can be in jail,
hang
and
himself.
there are three of the endings he commits suicide. He has, I think, seven endings, and three of them he can commit suicide. That's pretty damn
Yeah,
depressing.
he's kind of got it. Kind of got the shit sandwich of the lot there.
Right. Especially if Norman and Madison die, I think he pretty much for sure commits suicide then. 'Cause he can't save his son because if he doesn't get out. And if he does get out, then I think he gets gunned down by the cops because there's no one there to warn him that the cops are there. So he doesn't, Ethan, it's hard to get a good ending with Ethan. He's the hardest character to get a good ending with. Whew.
Yeah. Whew.
So anyways, it sounds like we both more or less really enjoyed Heavy Rain then.
Yeah.
Nice.
Enjoyed the
All right. Well, I was just going to do a really quick 10 degrees of Taylor, and it was just going to be the four main characters. Just a rating of 0 to 10 based on their voice acting, their character traits, typical character traits, obviously, because you can play as them and change some of them, as well as just their general chapter sequences. So we'll start with Ethan.
I'd give Ethan probably overall an 8
Okay.
because because he has a lot, and I like the amount of I like the chapters and the variances in the chapters. So I never disliked doing any of his chapters. I was
Mm,
never like, oh, okay, it's an Ethan chapter, whatever. I wanted to do this one instead, kind of thing. So I'd give him an 8.
nice. I'll probably give him an 8 as well. I like the progression with him, just like you. And I feel like they do a good job of balancing what a father would realistically do
Mm,
to save his son.
right.
All right, so moving on, let's go with Scott.
Outside of what they have to do for him, I love the voice actor for him. I like just the character in general.
Mm,
Um, but his what do I want to say? His chapters seem a little, what's the word I want to use? I don't know. There's something about them that just don't sit as well. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, all right, okay.
maybe you could argue they're the most varied. Like they have a direct line of like, okay, you should do these things, but he has some of the most menial tasks out of all the characters.
Mm,
Ethan is close, but I would say Scott has more of them, like taking care of the baby and cooking the egg. And I don't know if that's part of it for you, but that definitely is one of the aspects for me that where I'm like, I was like, some of Scott's stuff's kind of boring. The clock shop.
yeah, wiping the prints and stuff. I don't know. It's not that it's boring per se, but it's just, I don't know. There's just something about it that's just not as not as enjoyable as Ethan's. Even though I like his voice actor a lot, so I'd give him a 7.
Mm. Okay, I'll give Scott. Scott's a little hard. I'll probably give him 7.5. I do like the shootout, even though it's out of place, just because it's kind of fun. All right, let's do Norman Jaden.
His voice actor is a little wonky, but I love his interactions with Ari. That's
The Ari thing's so cool.
so fucking cool, and it's just those, and also kind of playing the detective, and
Mm.
even though it's not really that much to it, it's still a little bit where you're taking, trying to use bits of data and analyzing them and whatnot, and that sort of thing. I give him even though he has such a word, I give him like an 8.59.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, he's got some really cool sequences. I love the struggle, the personal struggle he has with the drug. I like the voice actor just because it's so wonky. I think that plays in a lot of to do with the drug aspect, where it seems like he's just sort of kind of weird, kind of like Mr. Magoo, but kind of really focused at the same time. He's all over the place. So I'd probably give him a 9. I think he's just the wackiest out of all the characters by far. So and Madison.
I like her voice actor as
Mm,
well. I had for most of them, but mm, some of her, even though it's because it ties in with Ethan's, some of the instances with her are a little, huh? Gotta take care of this asshole kind of thing. So I didn't quite really care for some of the bits that she had to interact with, but I do like some of the others, like the doctor, the
right.
the dealing with sleazeball Paco there,
Paco. That's a pretty good one.
um, and that sort of thing. So I'd give her I'd probably set her at an 8 as well.
Nice, nice. I like Madison's voice actress as well, and I think they did a good job with capturing a good solid feminism with her, with strength. Um, Not like over sexualizing her and stuff, because there is actually a nude scene with her in the shower, but it doesn't feel like it's not
It's like
glorified, right?
Ethan's nude scene.
Yeah, it's not glorified. It's just like, oh, she's taking a shower, no big deal
Getting
kind of thing.
wet. That's really about
Right.
it.
Yeah, yeah, the kind of faux shower, um, but it doesn't. They don't like over sexualize this one really important female character. She just feels just as important as the other characters. She feels really well interlocked. I'd probably give her a 9 as well. She's probably one of the more interesting female characters I've played as in a game for some time. She feels really useful. She has my favorite scene in the game, and that is the doctor scene. Um, yeah, I just like her interactions. I could see where you're coming from with some of the Ethan stuff,
Hmm.
but on one hand, I see that, and on the other hand, I sort of see like, well, I could see Ethan being in such like a bad place where, some people just that's how they react, right? They react to affection very strongly if they're feeling really depressed. Um, so I didn't quite mind that. But yeah, I'd probably give her and Norman Jaden. They're probably my two favorite characters. So both of them get a 9.
Norman Jane.
This is just wicked out and tricked out. Just weirdo. So, all right, well, let's wrap it up then.
Wrap it up.
All
Okay.
right, so it sounds like we will both be giving this a fairly positive review. If you have not played Heavy Rain, check it out. It shouldn't be horribly expensive, I presume, now for the PlayStation 3.
I don't think it'd probably be too expensive.
I think it's relatively easy to come by as well. I believe it's on the greatest hits list.
I believe it is. Yes.
So it should be fairly easy to come by. It's definitely worth your time, even if you're not thinking of buying it, borrow it, rent it, whatever. It's just you can sort of play the main game and enjoy it for what it is. So yeah, any last words there, Taylor?
No, it's pretty. Just give it a go. It's if especially if you like, if you enjoy movies, like detective movies and stuff like that. Uh, just kind of treat it like that. Keep that in mind instead of thinking of it as this like super in depth kind of game.
Hmm.
So I'd say yeah, if you haven't by now, definitely give it a little spin, a little give go.
Yeah, I think people who, in general, like film will probably like this game. It's a good, I guess, like sort of psychological thriller.
Mm.
So, yeah, that would be a good point to end on, I believe. So, from myself and Taylor, we hope you enjoyed our nice little breakdown here of Heavy Rain for the PS3. And we hope you enjoy our next coming episode. And we will see you guys next time.